I'm very grateful to be here. It takes a lot of courage to be here. I want to thank Carlos Lopez and Sylvia for inviting me in a very, very short notice, but I wouldn't miss this opportunity to be here. And what I will be talking about in the next 18 minutes is to shape the theme of the conference. I will not talk about sales. I know my friend Kola Karim is here. I will not talk about money. I will not talk about profits or anything else. I'll talk about humanity and coalitions and why we should work together. I stand before you as a testimony to the fact that being poor, being neglected, being marginalized, being uneducated should not stop you to fulfill your life and have a successful and purposeful life. I am grateful to be a very successful woman, thanks to the fact that many, many people made a contribution to my success. Many people. Today I live in the United Kingdom, but I'm from Senegal, West Africa. At the age of 5 years old, my mother abandoned us as children, me and my twin brother. Today I live in the UK, where I feel safe, and where I do run my business as a profit and non-for-profit. This is the only picture I have with my twin brother, who lives in Germany today. It's the only picture we have as children. At the age of 13 years old, I was trafficked from Senegal to Paris. I had a terrible childhood, extremely difficult childhood. That is why I'm so passionate today to build coalitions, to work with people, to make a change. And the work I do is I'm trying to unlock the potential of young girls around the world. I can't do this alone. That's why the theme of this conference is so important. No one can do things alone. Nobody. So I educate women and girls through tech. I've never been to school. I learned how to read and write when I was 16. I learned how to code 7 programming languages in 2 years in my kitchen in my local library in Surrey. I invest in the ecosystem. As I said, no one can do it alone. I work with existing women networks to empower women and girls around the world. I collaborate and build coalitions. In Africa, we say, it takes a village to raise a child. It took amazing individuals around the world to help me be where I am today. People that believed in me, people that invested in me, people that gave me their money, their time, and their efforts, people that listened to me. The other thing I do, I bring the humanity component. When we make profit and we make money, we forget about the human component. We are human beings at the end of the day. We all have feelings. We all have insecurities. But you know what it takes? It takes a courage. It takes a courage to do certain things. But it also takes empathy, compassion, and kindness to look after other people. Sometimes when we're so insecure, we don't want people to help us because we want to be where we are, because we feel scared. Fear, we feel scared. I measure impact how things work around the world when it comes to women and girls. Data is a big thing to me. In the 1980s, I was data myself. The data you see from the United Nations website, the people you read. I was data in the 1980s, 1970s. So now I measure impact. We only work with people that can measure impact and sustainability. As Tora said, my goal is to empower 1 million women and girl coders by 2030. That's what I want to do. I wrote it in Portuguese for you. I Am the Code is the first African-led initiative that is helping women and girls around the world through digital skills. Today, there are millions of women and girls who are digitally illiterate. But without having a solid coalition, these women and girls will be forgotten around the world. And women in the diaspora who are working extremely hard in their countries, they're not being seen or heard. Technology is an enabler for African women. But as we look into Europe and Africa, as you go home tonight, you think about what is your next investment. Think about technology. How can you help women and girls around the world, not just in Africa? I always say the problem of technology is not a location problem. It's a society problem. Only few people would like to have access to it. But we need to give it to everyone. Technology has no race, no gender, no age. I Am the Code is today in 60 countries. It took so many people to give me $200, $300, $500. Within 6 months, we raised $5,000. And that money today has led us to be where we are. The problem you have today around the world is as we build the coalitions, we don't think about women and girls. We don't think about people. We don't invest in STEM education. The balance between Europe and Africa should be linked with tech and innovation. Women and girls across the world don't have access to STEM education, like when I was growing up in my country, Senegal. We need to invest in girls who are being forced to early marriages. I travel across the world to meet the most deprived young women and girls around the world. Terrible lives. I'm 44 years old. I know I look young. But I go and see girls who are suffering. I was in Sao Paulo a couple of weeks ago. I Am the Code has managed to reduce child prostitution in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, by 47%. Just within 3 months. Poverty is man-made, as Nelson Mandela said. When we're building coalitions, we need to think about the poor people. We are the privileged, we are the lucky people. Because we wake up today in a nice hotel. I like the hotel, by the way. I don't know if you like it. I took some Molton Brown creams in my bag. As we feel privileged, we need to think about other people. We cannot sit down and build the coalitions without thinking about people. We have government people in the room. When you go in home tonight, think about the STEM policies, innovation, how do you do that? How can you invest in STEM policies? It affects the life of women and girls. It does. So as we build the coalitions between Europe and Africa, we need to think about the policies that should be favorable to women and girls. They should be favorable to women and girls. And boys too. We have taught young women who are in slums in Brazil, in Kenya, in Nigeria, how to code. Coding is the future. But it's not just for the wealthy people. As I said earlier, I learned how to code 7 programming languages in 2 years because I couldn't find a job in Europe. I didn't have certificate. I didn't have GCSE or A-levels. But today, Africans are innovating. They are building solutions. We have women and girls developing amazing solutions today in Africa. So as you invest, as you build the coalitions, think about those industries. I Am the Code was the first African organization to be recognized by the United Nations 2 years ago. What I would like to say is, I don't want to talk to you about investment, money. I want to talk to you about humanity building a purposeful coalition together. We can only achieve transformation if we work, innovate, and grow. During the day, you'll be hearing about trust. You'll be hearing about how you can invest in Africa, vice versa, how can Africans invest in Europe. But one thing I know is that if we don't work together as human beings, meaningfully, as Philippe said, meaningfully, open our heart, forget the biases we have, and work together, we will never be successful. When I was running my business in the UK, I had a lot of barriers. So I'm from Senegal. I was not speaking English. I was speaking only French, broken French. I struggled to find a job. My first job was at the HSBC Bank. I was a data clerk, inputting data for the CEO. It took me years and years to learn. But one thing I knew is that if you believe in what you do, have the courage to ask for help. Africa is in a position right now where we just don't need charity anymore. And I think you heard this, you've seen this everywhere. People are talking about it. But we need to start building meaningful relationships, having conversations that mean something for the continent. Let's not think about refugees and people that disturb us, people that makes us feel uncomfortable. Sometimes we don't want people to invade our comfort. We want people to come out in our countries. I understand that. But we cannot build the coalitions having a bias in our heads. That's why if we focus on sustainable development goals, in the next 10, 20, 12 years, we have a mission, all of us together. This is the perfect way of building coalitions, because each of us can find yourself in this. If you care about climate change issues, you can create your own coalition. If you care about gender equality, putting more women into power, you can do that. If you care about energy, water and sanitations, you can. We need a quality of education for women and girls around the world. The education system of my country failed me as a young girl. That's why I go back today to teach girls how to code, give them a different life. As you go again to build the coalitions across Africa, think about the hubs we have. Today, Africa has got 442 technology hubs. This is the data by the GSMA organization. So don't see Africa as just one single country, but see it as an amazing frontier for investment. Go and meet people in Senegal, my country, Côte d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Uganda. Amazing people. This is our computer. Young girls learn how to code in 5 minutes. The most marginalized girls in society learn how to code in 5 minutes. It's a cheap computer. That is why I said to my friends who are in government in this room, as we build a coalition between Europe and Africa, ask for effective solutions that you can give to your people. Not expensive contract, expensive computers that your people cannot use. It fails them. Those are our girls in Uganda. They are learning how to code. Their mothers are fishmongers. They're from the poor of the poor. Laetitia is 11 years old. We're following her. In 2030, she'll be 24 years old, and she'll be working for organizations. She'll be learning how to code. She will know how to code at least 4 languages, and she'll become an entrepreneur. As we build the coalitions and moving forward, we need to think about the future. What is impactful? Why are we doing this together? Why are we working together? Europe and Africa can't just have one single project going on with only few people. We need to multiply this. We need to give access to many, many people around the world. But we can only do this if we find kindness, compassion, and empathy in our heart. Willingness to move away from the situation and let other people lead. That's why I Am the Code is successful today, because it's being run by other people. Those are our girls in Senegal, in Brazil, a movement who is changing lives around the world, not just in Africa. This is a pure coalition. An African movement changing the life of the girls in China, in Argentina, in Japan, all around the world. 60 countries in 2 years. That's a pure coalition. That's why I invite you to think about what can you do impactfully? How can you build the coalitions around the world? How can you bring your ideas? One single African idea can go all around the world. As I said earlier, when I was 13, I was trafficked. I traveled, besides the girls in Nepal, I travel around the world. I cannot take the pain away from these women. What I can do is give them skills. Skills equal money. But being indecisive to make a decision can also harm people. So I travel around the world to give young women and girls skills they need for tomorrow. They take the stigma away. Being trafficked is not a stigma. Being a refugee is not a stigma. We need to build the coalitions, good coalitions. Movements give power to people. That's why I wanted to show you these slides today, for you to take them with you, take some notes. As you go throughout the day, you think about these words I'm just saying to you. You have the power to make a difference. You have the power to build the coalitions. You have the power to connect this afternoon with people. When we come back in 2019 for another EurAfrican forum, we can share ideas. We can tell the world what we've done here as 2 continents. We can do this together. We can make sure that we give power to people. But as we generate revenue, as I said earlier, we can also change the life of people. You can use your wealth for good. What I would like you to do before you go home, think about this, what you can do. You can invest your time with us. Sometimes we don't even need money. We just need people, human beings, to come with us. Because you and I will stand up at the United Nations in 2030 to show real impact. Real impact. You can be part of I Am the Code. You can volunteer to make an impact. You can become an ambassador. You can build a coalition with us. Because together, what we can do is stand up at the United Nations in 2030 and showcase exactly what we've done as people. Coalitions take people. We need people. Sometimes we need product, we need policies, but we also need empathy, compassion, and kindness. During the day, as I said again, when you're walking on the corridors and making relationships, giving your cards, think about how can you be more empathetic, more kind, more compassionate, more thoughtful of the millions of women and girls around the world who have no access to education, have no access to sanitary pads, who have no access to water and sanitations. Thank you.